How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with another FPL live stream. And today, it is blank game week 29, the dreaded 4-fixture blank game week 29, which not really looking forward to. I'm probably going to be paying more attention to the FA Cup fixtures, if I'm being honest. Because there are some pretty good ones in there, and that's why for our predictions this week we're going to have our 4 FA Cup fixtures on that, just to give a little bit more bulk in terms of predictions and see how we do. Although most of them should be pretty straightforward. There is one in there, obviously, United Leicester, which could be a bit difficult to call. But yeah, we're going to talk about how my team did. We're going to talk about some potential transfers that I'm looking forward to. This week I have 2 frees again. I rolled one of my 2 frees last week, only using one to bring in Rafinha, who ended up coming in for one of my players, which you'll see in just a second. Because yeah, he came in for 2 of my 3 City players, which were up on the bench and did not feature, as a lot of people found out. So yeah, we will also be looking at, obviously, like I said, our predictions, our differentials and clean sheet pick for the week, and yeah, we'll kind of do a little bit of probably some experimental things with the free hit as well. But our differential picks this week are actually different this week. They are different in that, since there's only such a finite amount of fixtures, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the best possible player that I think is in that position for that role at any price, and we're going to go for those teams as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Hey Zaka, how's it going? Hope you had a good game week. I certainly did. I had 68 points this week. Game week rank of just under 210k, but it's around 210k. Eclipsed over 1700 points. We had around 170k green arrow, which is fantastic. So we're getting ever closer and closer to the top 100k. Our next goal, obviously, is by the end of this blank game week to either maintain or go closer to the 500k. That would be nice. And then, like I said, we used the one transfer, which was to bring in Rafinha for our injured Harvey Barnes. Yeah, I just made that change because could have been some rotation. Didn't think there was going to be this much rotation. Yeah, glad that we did that. And Rafinha is going to be a player for our blank game week team anyway as well. Saw my team on Twitter. I wouldn't consider it that good, as good of a game week. It could have been better. It definitely could have been better. I do admit that. The fact that I captained Vardy was fantastic. I mean, he could have had a lot more points. Same with Iheanacho, to be honest. But Martinez and Target could have had an absolutely, so initially I had Martinez on a clean sheet with a bonus point, Target on a clean sheet with an assist. On for 3 bonus points, and I had Watkins with a goal. But then, obviously, rightly so, Watkins' goal was changed to Watkins' assist, and it was considered an own goal because his shot was going off target anyway. It was a glancing header that was more or less a pass, so we lost that. And then in the dying moments at the last point of the game, Martinez and Target lost the clean sheet, which was a bit unlucky there. Captain Traore, and in the 20th minute, he decided to run over the signs as if he was chased by a tiger. Yeah, exactly. That I saw a few of those teams actually that is Captain Traore, and I thought he was a good pick. And he did look decent before he got injured, which is unfortunate. I also saw somebody in my mini league, Captain Timo Werner, again on the bench, and comes on and he gets 1 point. Captain Havertz, I saw people with the differential pick. It seems like there was the only real standout differential picks was basically Vardy, for the most part. Obviously, if you captain Iheanacho, then you're golden basically. And then if you captain the defender, so like the Shaws, the Cancelos, the Stoneses, the Diazes, you'd been happy with all of them. But like Kane blanked, Son blanked because he went off injured. Bale didn't do anything. Fernandez only got 3 points. Salah only got 3 points. Calvert-Lewin would have got you 6 points, but again, it's not much more of the 3 points from the other guys. It wasn't like 2 goals, mind you. Calvert-Lewin could have had 2 goals as well. Digne would have been good as well. So, there's a lot of different players that could have done well that were unorthodox this week. But again, captaining a defender is always risky. I went with Vardy because I was like, Sheffield United's terrible. They got rid of Chris Wilder, who, had I known it even sooner, I would have potentially triple captained Vardy. Because of the fact, like, I heard rumors of it, but it wasn't official until basically like after the what's the name it the Gameweek had started basically. And he had as much of a new manager bounce as dropping a raw egg on the ground. Like, it's not no bounce at all, and they got thrashed 5-0, which I don't even think Wilder. I think there was a stat that said Wilder hadn't conceded more than 3 goals in any of the games that he's been in charge of Sheffield United, which is crazy. But yeah, is what it is. My team: Trier off with an injury, Bamford off with an injury, Son off with an injury, Dunk off with an injury, Burn off with an injury for my Game Week 29 players. Yeah, there was a lot of people like that as well. Andy from Let's Talk FPL, I think he had Son, Bamford, Burn, and then somebody else as well. I can't remember who it was. But I have a couple injuries myself. Only one for this game week though, which is not terrible. But Son might actually play because Mourinho said he could be back for Aston Villa. We will see. I'm gonna play him anyway. I'm not gonna sell him because if the likelihood is that he is back for the Newcastle game, I want him for that one anyway. And Pereira, I was probably gonna sell this week. Him and Vardy, I was gonna get rid of them because after that they have Manchester City and West Ham, which are very bad, and then maybe I can think about potentially getting somebody in Leicester's midfield, maybe once Barnes and Madison are back for these 4 nice fixtures. But yeah, going triple Brighton defense, Burn, Duncan, White. Just hope Burn will play. Yeah, I mean that's the fear, right? I mean, Burn getting taken off at halftime. I believe it was an injury. A hamstring injury, which typically a hamstring injury is not something where it's like, oh yeah, he'll be back next game. That's like Son. Son's looked to be a hamstring injury. Mind you, it could have been something else that felt like a hamstring, but wasn't actually. So, I don't know. We'll see on that one. But I'm going to go for Veltman, probably. Because I think that his spot is pretty much nailed down, whether he plays in a back 3 or as a fullback. And, with Lamptey being out for the season, so I expect him to play. And if Burns out, then he's definitely going to play because they'll put somebody else on the other side. So, but yeah, if you wanted to be a little bit more safe, you can go White, and if you wanted, obviously if you have the cash, which I don't really want to spend a lot of money on this transfer, like I don't want to spend the same amount that I'm paying for Target or something like that. If I can get Veltman just for the 1 week, then that's fine. That's all I really want him for. Because going into this week, where's my team? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if Son plays, 7, 8 with Kane, and then obviously I have a spare goalkeeper. So if I were to bring in somebody, I would have 8, 9 if Son plays, which I think is perfectly fine. And that player is probably going to be Pereira out for Veltman. And then save my 2 free transfers and go into Game Week 30, see what the international break brings, the FA Cup fixtures bring, and deal with anything on the other side. If I want to keep Vardy, because Vardy's obviously not going to play on an international break, and I have to address other things, maybe I keep Vardy for City. Maybe he gets a counter-attacking goal, and then he's up against West Ham, and then he has a really good run, and then maybe I keep him. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. I still want to get Bruno back, obviously, because they do play, Brighton, Burnley, Leeds in the next 4 after the international break. So we'll have to see on that front overall. But the good things for this week was obviously Target getting 2 bonus points even though they conceded, which was, pretty good. Shaw and Cancelo getting 21 points between them is fantastic. Obviously Watkins getting himself an assist, and then Vardy with a hat trick of assists, getting himself 26 points. So yeah, he did quite well for me. I was thinking that I wasn't going to get anything. You know, he missed a chance, and then he missed another chance, and then Nacho scored, and then he missed another chance. And then I was like, you know, okay, maybe he comes out of this with an assist, but, you know, would like a little bit more. There's definitely something in this game. And then he got another assist. And then there was the own goal as well, and I was like, okay, we'll definitely take that. We'll definitely take that. He could have potentially had a hat trick himself with triple assist. Same with the Iheanacho. It could have been a hat trick, triple assist for both of them. So it is what it is. I got 30 points, and 12 of them was Cancelo. That's a yikes. Well, I mean, if you have 4 of your players get 1 point because they went off injured, you know, that's not ideal. There was no goalkeeper, to my recollection, that that did well this week. Obviously, Ederson would have got something. Oh, Meslier. Meslier got a decent bit of points. Obviously, Schmeichel would have been fine. Allison, Dean Henderson. Guaita would have been good. Yeah, Guaita got 2 bonus points. But bench Meslier for Johnston. Yeah, that's going to happen. Like this week, Areola easily could have potentially, they could have, like, you know, Fulham looked pretty good. Maybe, you know, Martinez concedes the last minute, he gets 3 points, but Areola makes more saves, and City, you know, yes, City went 3-0, but let's say, you know, Areola ends up with, I don't know, 9 saves or something, because City just pepper the goal. It's definitely possible. But yeah, the bads this week was obviously De Bruyne and Gundogan not playing, because I was really hoping that they would play, but they didn't. And Cancelo getting an assist was obviously nice. The fact that it went to John Stones probably hurt the rank a little bit more than I would have liked. John Stones was literally the only thing that stopped me from getting an even bigger points total. Like, if that would have been a cross to Roger or somebody like that, you're looking at Cancelo on, I mean, he did end up with max bonus points, but on max bonus points, all on his lonesome. John Stones doesn't get a goal. Maybe he's on like just 7 or 8 points, you know, and then we're looking at a really, really big score. But obviously can't complain too much with the green arrow that we ended up getting. But Lookman looked bright. Unfortunately, couldn't really do too much. City's just too good. You know, Rafinha, again, still not sure how he doesn't come away with points overall, even though he did come in for De Bruyne, and Lookman came in for Gundogan. So yeah, still confused. But with Bamford out, maybe Rafinha's not as good. So a bit interesting. I have 10 players with 4 of them yellow. Yeah, so Burn would probably be a concern, and same with Son probably. Traore might just be a little bit of a, he whacked himself up against the board. Maybe it's a little bit of bruising, and then he's fine. Yeah, we'll have to see kind of how that goes. Which is why I think team news, not team news, but like a team. Oh, it is, I guess, team news, but like injury news is important to wait. I've seen some players that I want, like Cresswell and players like that, going up in price that I've considered for this week. And yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting because I want to get confirmation to make sure that any player that I bring in, you know, is going to be fit. Like, we could get news where Mourinho's saying, "Oh yeah, Son will be back. Son will be back," and then he has a press conference and says, "Yeah, Son's out for the rest of the season." Then you're looking to potentially get rid of him this week. You know, we could get news that, oh yeah, I'm going to give Kane a day off this week, you know, or whatever. Maybe you don't want Kane for this week, or you'll change your captaincy. You know, there's a lot of different things that that you'll probably want to potentially look at. I already subbed in Dunk and Rafinha for a -4. Yeah, I think taking a -4 this week is fine. I think there's going to be some people that do it. I don't think a free hit's very good this week. I will be posting a video on that. You know, some drafts that I think would be good for a free hit. But I just don't think there's much, like, there's not really much, like, you know, room for upside. Yeah, you'll probably get a few, like, if Brighton keep a clean sheet and you have triple Brighton defense, then okay, yeah, sure, you get an extra 12 points over other people. But if Brighton doesn't keep a clean sheet and Newcastle somehow score, Callum Wilson's back or something like that, then you get another 4 points over everyone else. Is that really worth the free hit? Probably not. There's not many people, I don't think, free hitting in this week anyway. Because a lot of people used it back in 19. So we'll have to see kind of how it plays out. But yeah, let's go on to the scores of the game week. So obviously Newcastle scoring at the very, very end, getting themselves a draw. I thought Aston Villa was going to win 2-0. Got that one wrong, so no points for that. Chelsea Leeds was actually a somewhat contestable, 0-0, but nothing doing between the two sides. Crystal Palace West Brom, got that one exactly right. So we get 3 points for that. So if you don't know our scoring, 3 points for exact score, 1 point for a result correct, and 0 points otherwise. But 3 points because we got the exact score right. Everton losing 2-1 to Burnley is just not something that they need right now. They need points. They need to be pushing for that potential top 4 spot. And yeah, if you're losing to Burnley at home, that's not ideal, basically. City, I said 3-1 versus Fulham. They ended up 3-0, so 1 point there. Southampton and Brighton, I said 1-1. Brighton ended up nicking that one 2-1. Leicester, Sheffield United 2-0. I thought it was a fair scoreline. Apparently, they had to one up that 3 times and go 3 extra and go 5-0. Spurs lost 2-1 in the North London derby. United managed to nick it 1-0 over West Ham, which I predicted 2-1, so just a 1 point there. And then Liverpool, I predicted 2-1 over Wolves. They ended up winning it 1-0, so overall. Guaita, fantastic. Leicester, fantastic. Azpilicueta kept a clean sheet, so that's good there. I believe Mahrez did the bits again. No, he didn't actually. Oh, right, Mahrez didn't play. A lot of players didn't play in this one. Forgot about that. And then Benteke. Did Benteke get a return? No, Zaha got taken down or whatever for a penalty, right? So 3 out of 5 in the differential. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 points on the old score predictions. But yeah, the surprising fixtures of the week. Obviously, Villa hanging on, and then a very last minute, kind of nicked goal at the end by Newcastle. Was not great to start off my week. Although I ended up coming out okay from it because I had the 2 bonus points from Target. A lot of people have Martinez. And I think at the time, before Newcastle scored, even with like the monstrous amount of points, with Ollie Watkins with his assist, Target with his 3 bonus points, clean sheet, Martinez with like 2 bonus points, save point, clean sheet. I was at like 630k rank. And then when they scored, I only lost around like 40k places, which I thought was quite low actually, because, I guess it's because a lot of people are Martinez. Basically, that's pretty much it. Leeds versus Chelsea. Surprised there wasn't any goals in this one. I thought there was definitely going to be something in it. Crystal Palace West Brom, exactly how I thought it was going to go. Everton, just another disappointing result, and not something that they need to be doing at home if they want to actually make a push for the top 4. Man City, just being Man City. Southampton's poor form continues, and Brighton finally exceeded their XG after being the XG kings of the of all time, basically. Leicester, Sheffield United, it's just embarrassing. You get rid of your, longtime Blades fan with his mates, Blades player, Blades manager. You get rid of him, and you get absolutely embarrassed. Absolutely embarrassed. And that wasn't even Leicester's best team. They have 2 of their most creative playmakers in Barnes and Maddison out. So, and they have arguably their best fullback out too. So, what does that tell you? Yes, their squad's obviously better. But, 5-0. If Wilder was still there, they would at least kept it tight. Arsenal, Lamella, Lamella's goal. That's what you call the full Lamella. Scores a Rabona goal through Thomas Partey's legs, and then he gets sent off because he's Eric Lamella. And that's just kind of how it works. But Spurs, they I don't know why Mourinho's coming out in the press criticizing players when he literally sends out Bale and Doherty, full well knowing that Arsenal's best side is the left flank. Bale's not going to track, and Doherty is terrible 1v1, and is used to playing in a back three system. So, not sure what he expected. I guess that there are things where Mourinho just kind of sets up his team and just like says, oh yeah, I have an excuse, basically, if things do go wrong. United versus West Ham, 1-0 I don't think is the scoreline. It should have ended up, United definitely should have probably scored one more. They had chance to do so. Fabianski just played really well. So, I think United definitely did enough to, deserve the game. Because for 70 minutes, West Ham just basically parked the bus, pretty much. And Wolves-Liverpool was pretty, one moment for the goal. And then apart from that, not really much else going on. I mean, Salah scored, but it was an offside goal, clearly offside. But apart from that, not really too much excitement there, all things considered. Now, the 4 games this week, I have them here for our predictions. Fulham versus Leeds. So, this all kind of depends on if Patrick Bamford is in or out. If he is out, I think that, Leeds could struggle. I mean, both teams are, very, 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 tight for goals at the moment. They're not scoring freely like they should be. With Bamford out, you'll probably have to play, I believe it's Roberts through the middle, of Rodrigo. Rodrigo, I believe, came on as a sub and then got subbed, so that's not something that's ideal. I'm going to go with probably a contradictory prediction here. I'm actually going to go no. And the reason I say that is because Fulham's defense has been quite good. Leeds haven't been able to score very much and have been underperforming in that regard. If Bamford's out, that's another loss for them. And I think, if anything, Fulham could potentially be looking at this game and thinking, we could get 3 points here. So, yeah. Definitely going to be an interesting contest. And it's going to be a completely different Scott Parker side than what played Leeds the first time they played against each other, where Leeds won 4-3. Brighton versus Newcastle. I see Xhaka put 2-0, so he's going to favor Leeds. Yeah, I think it's going to be a narrow margin either way. I don't think two teams score very much. Brighton should be able to win this game. They just need to put the ball in the back of the net once, because Newcastle is not scoring. So I'm going to go with Brighton winning as well. I'm going to agree with you, Xhaka, on this one. I'm going to go with a 2-0 Brighton win. If Wilson's back, maybe there's something there. But I don't think he's scheduled to be back as of yet. If he is back, then it could be a bit of a close contest. And then I think the Brighton clean sheet could be in jeopardy. Callum Wilson, let's see. So he says 25% chance of playing. So if he plays, might be something there. And maybe I bring him in for Vardy. Who knows? But, yeah, I wouldn't bet my hopes on it. I'm pretty sure Steve Bruce probably wouldn't want to play Wilson in this game if he's not fully match fit, when they're going to be defending most of the time anyway. So, West Ham versus Arsenal. I think West Ham should do quite well. They should go and play. They should go on the offense. They should attack Arsenal, and it will cause Arsenal problems. Arsenal defensively are not that good. They're not. When they try to play out from the back, they hit the ball into Chris Wood and it goes in their own goal. They aren't that good defensively. I think West Ham will keep a clean sheet too, because this riff with Aubameyang seems to be a bit weird. If they play Willian, that just makes it even easier for West Ham to defend. And I think Antonio is going to make Arsenal centre-backs look a right mug. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for West Ham. And Jesse Lingard will be back for West Ham, as he was not allowed to play versus United, because that's his parent club at the moment. And I think Lingard will do well. So Aston Villa versus Spurs. Now, Jack Grealish could be back for this game. Spurs are away from home. Maybe they realize they need to get a result. Son might be out, but he could also play as well. There's a bunch of different factors going into this one. I don't think both teams keep a clean sheet in this one, so it's at least going to be 1-1. I think I'm just going to shade it to Spurs. I think they just, the quality will probably win out. And if Jack Grealish isn't there, then I think Aston Villa will probably score no more than 1 overall. And now, since we only have the 4 fixtures, Zaka says 3-1 and 1-1 or 1-1 and 3-1 respectively. Yeah, I could see it being 1-1 between West Ham and Arsenal, but I think West Ham defensively are just so good. But I agree with you with the Aston Villa Spurs. I think it's going to be probably slightly one-sided, not one-sided, but slightly in favor of Spurs, and both teams will probably concede. But yeah, we've got the 4 FA Cup fixtures here as well, so we're going to do those predictions as well because we're a little light on the fixtures this week, so we'll add a few more in there. Bournemouth versus Southampton could actually be a little bit interesting, actually, because I'm probably going to end up watching all of these games anyway. Maybe not Bournemouth Southampton, but Hey, Mono, how's it going? Nice game week. You must be buzzing. Yeah, I am very happy. Very, very happy this week. Stuck to my guns. Put the captaincy on who I thought would score. And Vardy could have potentially... After the game, I was thinking 3 assists, this is good. But it could have potentially been 3 assists, 3 goals for Vardy. 3 assists, 3 goals for Iheanacho. And they could have ended up that game with like a 7 or 8-0 or something like that. So, yeah, definitely pleased. Yeah, so... Bournemouth versus Southampton. Surely Southampton win, right? I think Southampton should win this game. I don't know, maybe 1-0. I don't really know what to call. I don't claim to watch the championship. The only thing I know about the championship is that Norwich is doing quite well, all things considered, and Brentford are were doing decently. Let's actually take a look at that and see where things are. Championship table. So, we got Norwich at the top. How many games in the championship do they play? So there's 24 teams, which means they play 23 teams twice, which is 46 games. Okay, so they're on like 10 games left. So Norwich is probably getting promoted. Watford's up there. Oh, Brentford slipped off a little bit. So we got Swansea, Brentford, Reading, and Barnsley. Bournemouth's not far behind. So Bournemouth is is 7th. Who's down the bottom? We got Wickham, Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, Birmingham, Coventry. Wayne Rooney's Derby is slowly making its way up the table after having a terrible start. And then all the normal teams you would expect in the middle of the table. The Cardiffs, your Millwalls, your Stokes, your Bristols, your Lutons, that sort of thing. So Bournemouth is going to be a competitor in there. They're going to try to do some decent stuff. And their form is win, loss, draw, win, win over their last 5. So all things considered, not terrible form coming into this one. So maybe they get something. But I think Southampton they should win. Got a small green with 54 points, but now stuck with Bamford and also Son debating on an early wild card. We'll go through that once I finish these predictions. I'm actually curious to see what a wild card would actually look like from game week 29 onwards. That'll be interesting. So we'll actually do that on stream. Have 9 players though: Bamford and Son. Maybe a -4 for Veltman and another -4 for Lingard. Hate taking hits. So I assume you've made a transfer for somebody already. I would say wait. If you guys don't follow Fantasy Football Scout, make sure you do. Subscribe to them over on YouTube. If you haven't done it, go do it right now and follow them on Twitter. It's FF Scout and Fantasy Football Scout on YouTube. Make sure to check them out because they have a roundup basically every week before the fixtures start. So if it's 5 o'clock, the first game is my time because EST has already gone an hour ahead for daylight saving time. So they'll probably have the team news stuff around like midday-ish my time, which will be like 4-ish, 3-4-ish UK time. And Ben Dinnery for injuries as well, yeah. Yeah, basically Fantasy Football Scout, Ben for injuries, and whatchamacallit? Ben Krellin for fixtures, and also there's a guy, I can't remember his name. Where is... What was his name? His name is Cole. I think it's Cole something. Colm Hayes. So COLM. I'll put his link in the listing. He gets press conference quotes as well. He gets press conference quotes as well. So he's quite useful to look at as well, which is interesting. But yeah, that's like the Fab Four, basically. Fantasy Football Scout, Ben Dinnery, Ben Crellin, and Colm Hayes. Those four. But I would say, we'll come on to differential picks, but I think Veltman is probably the best defender value-wise this week, and Lingard's probably the best midfielder. So I wouldn't say rip your team apart to potentially, you have to look on the other side of what your team's going to look like. I think after this week, Brighton players are bad, so I wouldn't say get more than maybe one unless you're free hitting. Or you already had them in your team, or they're going to be used as bench fodder for the rest of the season. So I think probably the best double up for Brighton defense is probably Sanchez and Veltman, just because it's the cheapest. But yeah, Bamford and Son, they might play. We'll have to see. Again, wait for press conference. I think this week, with so little fixtures and so little players to potentially pick from, you have to wait for the press conferences and see what things are going to be looking like. Because we also have a look at Spurs as well, because Spurs and Arsenal both play in Europa League in their second legs. And if we see the likes of Son on the bench for Spurs, then we can say, okay, maybe he plays for for the Premier League game. So we'll see. Follow Ted Talks FPL for some amazing stats too. Yep, he's pretty good too. Often on the Breakfast Club on Fantasy Football Scout, which is quite nice. Give me a new one to check out. 7:30 p.m. in Massachusetts. Late dinner, so got to go. No worries. Take care. So yeah, you're in the EST time zone that I usually post things at, so which is quite nice. Yeah, EST time zone. So basically, a 1 hour behind my time. We both had our clocks pushed forward, whereas I believe this week coming or next week, one of the two, UK pushed the clocks forward. So we will see on that front. But yeah, Everton Man City. What are we? Norwegian time zone. Yeah, that's the one. That's definitely the one. Everton, Man City. I think Man City showed their full strength team, was more than capable of just kind of batting aside a pretty decent German side. And Everton, again at home, haven't been great. I think City probably keep clean sheet. I'm just going to go professional 2-0 with that one. Chelsea, Sheffield United. Chelsea could embarrass Sheffield United. They could really embarrass Sheffield United. I think 3-0 probably is a fair scoreline, fair assessment. 4-0 Xhaka. That could potentially be it could definitely get ugly for Sheffield United. And then Leicester Man United. That's the hard one to call. I think this is the one that's close. I think Leicester at home favors United actually in this one. I think Leicester could potentially score. Oh, you've gone with the exact prediction. 1-1 extra time, 2-1 United. Could potentially be something like that. I was just going to go 2-1 United in normal time. Because Leicester defensively haven't been as good, when they've had James Justin and the like in the team. So that's what we've gone for. And then with our different clean sheet differential picks, I think the best chance for a clean sheet this week is obviously Brighton. These are not differential picks in any way. These are what I think are actually the best players this week, which is why I haven't put the differential percentages, like the ownership percentage next to them. Sanchez, I think is the best goalkeeper this week. Clean sheet Brighton, Sanchez in goal. And like I said, Veltman. If you go for that double up, that could be quite good. Mainly because of the fact that it's so cheap. Sanchez is only 4.5, I think. Veltman's 4.3. So you invest 8.8 for two players that you can just stick on the bench when you're done. Pretty simple. I even think Fulham has a chance to potentially score versus Meslier. So I wouldn't say he's the best goalkeeper, but yeah, he's probably definitely up there. if I had to rank them, I would say Sanchez and then Areola / Meslier would be there. If you could spread the cash to anything, I say Dunk is probably the best, but I think for value, Veltman is going to get you that extra clean sheet. And Dunk just recently scored, so is he going to potentially score again? Maybe he scores an own goal this time, who knows? Which wouldn't be ideal. In midfield, best midfielder this week I think is Lingard. I think it's pretty straightforward here. Lingard loves playing versus Arsenal as well, so I think it definitely helps. And then Kane, obviously Kane. Kane's probably going to be your captain this week. This is not a week to go different with the captaincy choice. This is not a week to think, ooh, let me get a little advantage here by captaining someone off pick or something like that. Kane is the one you should captain. If Kane is fit, you should captain Kane, because Kane's effective ownership at all ranks is going to be something ridiculous, like 150+%. And if he goes off, you just lose. Basically, you don't get points that week. And if he doesn't do well, and you captain him, well, it doesn't really matter too much. But the problem is that when you have these players with such high ownerships in a week where there's so limited amount of, so limited, then it could just bite you. It could just be something where you overthink. You don't want to overthink things like what Pep's done in the Champions League. So yeah, that is the clean sheet and picks for the week, not differential picks, but yeah. But yeah, should be interesting. But what'd you go? You went for Bowen. I think Bowen's not a bad shout. And Antonio. Yeah, Antonio's probably pretty good. Mind you, Antonio didn't have a shot in the last game. I think it was just weird how they handled that game. But I think Antonio could definitely do something versus Arsenal for sure. Arsenal and set plays aren't the greatest, and Antonio is quite good because West Ham are good. So, but in terms of if I were to wild card, let's see. I'm trying to think. If I were to wild card, how would I do it? Okay, so I wouldn't have Vardy, obviously. I want to see if I can get 8 or 9 players in for this week. And then have basically a strategy going forward. So what's that? 9 players means I have 6 on the bench. So 1 goalkeeper and 5. So basically, let's see. So I'm going to go under the assumption that all the players that came off injured will stay injured. And all the players that are currently injured for last week, so like Grealish, etc., are still injured. And then what I'll do is I'll do one, and let's say if players are fit, or I could pick an ideal level of fitness for certain players, who would I pick? So I probably wouldn't have Target. Who knows? I might have Target. Definitely don't want Shaw. Don't want Aina. Probably want to keep Lookman. We'll keep De Bruyne and Gundogan. Don't want Cancelo. We'll keep Martinez. We'll get Sanchez. We'll get Veltman. We'll get Dunk. So then we have, we'll play Sanchez just because. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we would need 1 more player to potentially fill out our team. Son, I'll replace him because I'll assume that he's injured. And have Fernandez because a lot of people do have Fernandez. And then maybe I go for like a Fulham defender. Let's get our City defender. So I'll put Diaz in there. Chelsea defender, probably Azpilicueta just for safety. Maybe instead of Target, we go for Cresswell. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So probably look for 1 more player. I guess we can go Antonio. maybe go Antonio, and then instead of Lookman, you know, we can go Lingard or something. And then I'm just trying to think for further on. Is there anyone that I would definitely want? So I'd want a way to get Son back in if he was available when they go to play Newcastle. So do I have the ability to do that? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I didn't have Antonio, let's say I just had I could go Josh Maja at 5-5, which would allow me to go from nope, can't do that. I would need Brewster. So I'd have to go in with 8 if I wanted to go with this setup. Because if I want to play 5... Because I want to play Rafinha the following week too. Because in 30 he has Sheffield United. If Bamford was available, obviously I'd pick Watkins. But then, you know, the following week... ooh, if I just go a little bit cheaper in defense... Well, I mean, if we go Antonio Rudiger and we expect him to play, I mean, we can also go Dawson as well. Dawson also makes a lot of sense, but yeah, the following week, you know, Gameweek 30, we have a bunch of different things that we could potentially do. We can go because you know City's fixtures from you know 30 and 32 are a bit of they're okay. And then 33, you know, is a blank. Leeds at home is probably good, but then you probably want the clean sheets. You know, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Brighton. Those look, you know, good for clean sheets. You need at least 1 or 2 Chelsea and Wolves on the wild card. Yeah, that's possible. I think West Ham is good value as well. Maybe not in the immediate future, but definitely 34 through 38. So in defense, who you're looking at potentially? I mean, you can always transfer them. So Wolves, you need them in 31. 31 is probably what you're looking at. So you can always do like, because you're not going to use Dunk in like from 30 onwards, basically. Like his only good fixtures probably Sheffield United, maybe Wolves for a clean sheet. So you can have Dunk to Cody afterwards. That's not a problem. That's definitely not a problem. In terms of scoring goals, I don't see really a situation where Wolves do well unless Raul Jimenez comes back in. If Raul Jimenez comes back in, that's a different story. Because then you'd be looking potentially to get him in. But whether he plays at the end of the season at some point, we don't know. You know, we don't know his return date. One interesting thing would be is if Patricio is out for a period of time. John Ruddy as a just a keeper from 30 and 31 or something like that. 4.3 could be good. But yeah, I would probably go with something potentially like this. I would play Sanchez, Cresswell, Veltman, Dunk, Lingard, Rafinha, Kane, and Watkins, and that's your you got 8 players. You got triple bright in defense. So if you keep clean sheet, you have a bit upside there. You're going for a little bit of West Ham. You still have the Leeds player in there, and you have Watkins, obviously with Bamford in there. Then you'll be all right. I have 8 now for 29, but have Son and Bamford. I have 1 free chance, but always will always take a -4. I would say wait until Friday. Obviously, wait until Friday to see what the actual full thing is for like on Fantasy Football Scout. Rudiger will be benched when Silva was back. I think Christensen will be benched when Silva is back. Because that's what that's what that's what Tuchel did. But I know what you mean. Rudiger is the type of defender that when the ball is at his feet, he's not very good. Christensen's played like prime Maldini in the last 7 games. Yeah, possibly. I mean, if you're going to go for super safe, you go for Azpilicueta, obviously. Like that he's the guy who's going to play, pretty much. So instead, you go Azpilicueta, and then you would downgrade Cresswell and go Dawson. If you wanted a West Ham defender in that way. And then in 30, you can, you know, in game week 30, your lineup would be looking pretty good. You would have, I mean, even if you wanted to go Dallas as a defender versus Fulham, you know, just to differentiate it up a little bit, you know, instead of Dunk, let's say, you know, you went Dallas, who's just slightly more. You still have the ability to go Rafinha straight up to Son if you want. So you would still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. And then you go into game week 30. You would play Martinez because he plays Fulham over Sanchez, who plays Man United. You would then play... you probably play Dawson because he's versus Wolves. You play Dallas because he plays against Sheffield United. You probably wouldn't play Diaz because you probably expect Leicester to score. And you would play Azpilicueta. You would play your 2 City attackers, Gundogan and De Bruyne. You would play Fernandes. You would play Lingard. And you would play Rafinha. And then you would play Watkins and Kane. That would be your 11. And then you can go and move on Dallas. You can move on Rafinha. So you're like your 2 free transfers. Let's say Son wasn't back for the for this game, but he was back for the Man United game. And let's say you wanted to bring him back in, or maybe you wanted to go with something, you know, is a bit sprucier. Maybe you wanted to bring in Jota. You can get rid of Rafinha, bring in Jota because Liverpool's fixtures start to become good. And are pretty good for pretty much the rest of the season, assuming they play well. And then with Dallas, you can get rid of him and go to Cody, whose fixtures, you know, against Fulham away, you probably expect him to play well there. And then you would go, you know, Liverpool play Aston Villa, so you probably don't want to play Martinez. And your other goalkeeper, Sanchez, who play Everton. So again, it kind of which one you want to go for there. Probably you play Martinez, I guess. You know, West Ham play Leicester, so that's not ideal. Brighton's fixture's bad. So you're playing Cody, who is versus Fulham, so you like that one. Diaz plays Leeds, so you'd probably be okay there. And then Azpilicueta's against Crystal Palace. You play your 5 midfielders, because why not? And then you play Kane and Watkins, who should do quite fine. Versus those defenses. That's kind of something I would go for. But yeah, if you want it to be more secure, I would say Azpilicueta is definitely the Chelsea defender that you would go for. And if you really wanted to go even spicier, you would get Mendy and go instead of Martinez. But I think Martinez is just, you know, he's Martinez, right? So, but that's kind of what I would go for if I was wildcarding. I do not have my wildcard, so I cannot do that. Bam Bam is probably 50-50, but Son out. Could do Bale in and Lingard. Then I'd have -4, but 8 players and a decent gaming 32, and then wildcard in 31. Yeah, I mean that's fine. I think 8 players is probably the like that's fine. If you have, so the players you want this week is Rafinha, you want Kane, maybe you want Lingard, maybe you want a West Ham defender, you want a goalkeeper, probably, you know, if you can get him, Sanchez, but Martinez or Areola or somebody like that. And then apart from that, it's just kind of a bit of a free-for-all. And then a Brighton defender, maybe. That's pretty about it. Gonna sleep. Have a great night, day, whatever. Good night, Taka. Have a good one. But yeah, it is what it is. The main one you want is you want the armband on Kane. You want Rafinha. You probably want a Brighton defender, and you want some type of goalkeeper. That's probably about it. And then from there, just kind of fill your players with players to play. Up to 8 or 9, thereabouts. And then, go for it. Man of the match against Liverpool, United, and Atletico Christensen. Yeah, I mean, he potentially was. Martinez, Konza, Dallas, Kufal, Bale, Rafinha, Lingard, Son, Kane, captain. And Bamford, that's a -4. I mean, that seems fine. I mean, you got a lot of players playing in this week, so you're pretty good, to be honest. As long as you, like I said, as long as you have 8 players and Kane's one of them, and you're putting the armband on him, you're probably okay. Like, this week is not a week to get super fancy. If you have players in it, play them, and then just go next. Like, if I can keep the same, if somebody told me, hey, Pilot, you can have the same game week, you can have a gray arrow, you stay exactly where you are by the end of game week 29, I will bite your hand off to take that. Do you think Chelsea will win tomorrow versus Atletico? Probably, actually. I don't think it'll be a very high scoring. I think Chelsea either win by a 1-goal margin, or it's just like a no-no. So I think it's like 1-0, 2-1, something like that. Probably 1-0 Chelsea, maybe. Brighton have a poor game week 30. Yeah, exactly. That's why they pretty much have a poor rest of the season. It's just this one game, literally, that everyone's banking on. I was also looking to game week 30, more than 29. Leeds have a nice 32. Yeah, exactly. Don't want to bring in Brighton for just 1 week. Yeah, if you're free hitting, that's why it's nice. You could just go triple Brighton defense and just be like, okay. Whereas me, like as an example, I have a defender that's potentially pulled his hamstring as well in Pereira. So I can get rid of him. I can free up some cash. And I can just have a defender which I can just sit on my bench. He's going to get probably 2 points pretty much every week. But at least he's a player that can come off the bench if he needs to. Like, he'll probably play in Veltman. And he frees, like I said, he frees up some money. And it gives me a 9th player if Son plays. Because I'll have Martinez, Veltman, Aina, Target, Rafinha, Lookman, Son, Watkins, Kane. So I have 8 outfield players and a goalkeeper if Son plays. And then I'll have 2 free transfers going into game week 30 to potentially do some, reshuffling of the squad, as it were. I think my toughest decision this week is, who do I start out of Martinez and Areola? That's the real problem, to be honest. That is the real problem. But, yeah, it is a bit tricky. It is definitely a bit tricky. How am I going to make this team look good? That's the question. It doesn't look very good. That's the real problem. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Play Areola. I was thinking of it. If Bamford's out, then maybe I go for it. But you never know. If Grealish is back, then that could spur them on. No pun intended. And if I'm captaining Kane, then I obviously want Spurs to score versus Aston Villa. So, yeah, maybe I go for it. We'll see. You happy with 8? Yeah, I mean, I ideally would like 9 if Son's playing. But if he doesn't play, then 8's fine, I think. Because I'll have Watkins, which some people will have, who's currently better than Bamford, because Bamford is technically injured, in a sense. I would have the most captain player, who I'm going to captain myself, in Kane. I'd have Lookman, who could potentially score versus Leeds, which not many other people will be looking for. I have the other cheap budget midfielder in Rafinha. The only player that I would like to have is Lingard, and I don't think I'm going to go for him. So I don't think I'm going to have anyone in the contest for West Ham and Arsenal, which is you know, a bit annoying. But if Son's out and he's out for the Newcastle game, like if Mourinho comes out and says he's out, you know, he's out for 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks or something like that, then maybe I get rid of Son instead, and I go for Lingard. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. Keeping 3 City on the bench. Yeah, I mean, they don't have a fixture, obviously, but wildcard in 31. I'm not wildcarding in 31. I don't have my second wildcard because I used it in 25 to set up a bench boost. So the only chips that I have left available is the free hit, which I'm not going to use. And I have the triple captain, which I have to use somewhere. Cheers for earlier stream. This hour earlier is much better for me. I think it's only technically an hour earlier because I'm an hour later. because of the daylight saving time. I've already my time between mine and the UK. I'm only 3 hours behind UK at the moment, but after this weekend it'll go back to the same time. So, am I using the 2 free transfers? I would like not to if I can get away with it. Yeah, so you're only 3 hours ahead of me, whereas normally you would be 4. So normally the start time for your time, Mono, would be midnight normally, but you haven't hit daylight saving time yet. Your clocks go ahead an hour on the weekend, I think. It's either this weekend or next weekend, one of the two. And then it'll be when I go to start. Normally, it'll be midnight start time, your time. Pereira has to go surely for Cresswell. Yeah, I mean that's another thing too. Maybe that's how I get into just kind of forego Brighton altogether. That's a possibility. I mean, let's see what that would look like. So let's say I go Pereira. I bring in Cresswell. But then that would probably mean that I can't go for Azpilicueta, maybe. But we'll see. But if I were to, let's say if Son was injured, we could get Fernandes, but we need 0.3 million somewhere, which would mean if we had, if we got rid of Cancelo, we could have a defender to 5.6 million. That's most likely. I would like to have a Chelsea defender. If Rudiger is going to start game in, game out, then yeah, sure, I can go for that. Or I can go for, instead of Cresswell, maybe go for Dawson. And then go for the more secure Azpilicueta. Just because it ensures that I have 2 starting defenders. Dawson's more of a set-piece threat in terms of goals. Aspie's the most nailed defender. For sure. Would I like Cresswell? Yeah, obviously. And then maybe I shift, when West Ham's fixtures are good, from 34 onwards, maybe, at some point, Target's fixtures after 30 are pretty bad. He will potentially become Diaz at some point. We can stretch him to Diaz, and then Shaw just becomes somebody cheap on the bench. And Cresswell has no cup to worry about as well. Exactly. Free hit in 32. I think you mean 33. 33 is the week where Man City, Spurs, Southampton, and Fulham don't play. But yeah, if I were to, so let's just go hypothetically. Let's say I do go with that. Let's say I go with Dawson, right? We'll go with Dawson. And then in 30, let's say Son is, Son's injured. Even if he's not injured, we get rid of Vardy. We get rid of Lookman because we want to still keep Rafinha. We bring in Fernandez, and then we just put Brewster as our forward. Maybe if Bamford's back, we go for Bamford, but whatever. Then we'd have a tough benching decision. Then we play 3-5-2. And then maybe we take a hit to get rid of Cancelo right now, to bring in Azpilicueta, because I don't think Cancelo might not necessarily start the Leicester game, and he might concede. So that probably justifies the hit to bring in Azpilicueta, who's probably going to keep a clean sheet because it's versus West Brom. So that would be something there. Rafinha could potentially go to Lingard. Would I go Lingard or Lookman for 29 and 30 only? Lingard. Probably. If I had to guess. Lingard's just a little more expensive. So if money was no object, you go Lingard. But I mean, Lookman's been playing well as well, so we'll see. So yeah, that would be my transfers. 31, 32. I have players that I would have to bench. I would have to bench Gundogan, De Bruyne, Son, and Kane. I would have to play everyone else, which would mean that I need to make a transfer for sure, because I can't play. I can't. I can't play any of those players because they're not going to play. Also, Aina doesn't play either, so that would be a bit of a problem. So maybe I would just free hit in that. So, yeah, something like that. We could free hit in 33. Are you still doing Pep Roulette vids, or have you given up all hope? No, I'm still doing Pep Roulette vids. It's just this week. There's no point in me doing Pep Roulette when Pep doesn't play. He plays in the Champions League, but there's no point. Like this week, I was planning on doing a video for the four best players for each position, but I kind of outlined that in the differential picks with Sanchez, Veltman, Lingard, and Kane. I think those four are probably the best in their each position. And the other one was going to be free hit drafts. So I'm going to or a free hit draft, whatever I choose to do. But that's going to be tomorrow. That'll come out. So seen so many teams and mates burn this week and the last week. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. Vice captain and captain not playing at all. Yeah, that's another thing as well. But that's why, this week, like I said this week, you can't be crazy with the captaincy this week. Kane's fit, Kane captain. There's no ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. You captain the one player that's a premium this week that you know is going to play. No captain Aubameyang, no captain Antonio, no captain Watkins, no captain Son, no captain Bale, none of that. It's Kane. Because if you captain anyone else but Kane, and everyone's gonna have Kane, and you don't captain him, you just get a red arrow if he does well. So, and if you have him and you don't captain him, you just get a red arrow even if whatever he does. So, yeah, definitely gonna want to have a Kane captain this week for sure. Sterling hiding out in the bushes. Yeah, I mean, Sterling's just trying to have fun, I guess. But yeah, it was a bit weird that he wasn't in the squad at all, which was a bit interesting. Let's check. I think the price changes have already gone through potentially. Maybe the price changes have gone through. Let's take a quick peek. I think they usually like that for a week. Let's see. Price changes. No. Maybe it's another couple of hours. Let's see. Perfect news for non-Sana. This means that those who have him will hold on to him when he misses out this weekend. At least some positive news after the willful weekend for Spurs. I understand that Son Heung-min's injury is not as bad as first feared. Could be back for the Newcastle game after the international break, and potentially even for this Sunday's evening's game, the Sunday evening game versus Villa. So, yeah, we will see on that one. 90 minutes left for changes. Okay, so it is an hour ahead than normal. Gotcha. But yeah, this is pretty much the team that I'm gonna go with. But like we've already discussed, it's either gonna be Pereira out for a defender that plays, so Cresswell, Veltman, Dawson, or Son out for Lingard maybe. If I think that he's not going to be back, but Son's probably just going to stay because he's back for Newcastle. I mean, definitely playing him, obviously. But yeah, let's move over to the big screen. Yeah, that is going to do it for our Game Week 29, blank Game Week 29 preview. Make sure to follow us on all the socials, PilotFlame226 on all platforms. Links are in the description. If you're watching this over on YouTube, come check us out live on Twitch. This is where we do our deadline and preview streams, so make sure to come check us out for that. And yeah, we will be back this Thursday, so we'll be back a day before the actual deadline. The deadline this week is at 15:30 EST time, which is not 15:30 EST time, 14:30 EST time, which is 2:30 p.m. EST time, which is 5:30 not 5:30 UK time, 6:30 UK time, I believe. But yeah, make sure to just check on your FPL website just to be sure. But yeah, we'll be back the day before the 18th. There'll be a video out tomorrow for those that are interested in free hitting. I will be doing a free hit draft and putting that one together and posting it over on YouTube as well. So make sure to check that out as well. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.